give us a play-by-play of what you offered? Because you were the one who was making the offer. You know, you were the man in the room, where it happens. What did Donald Trump offer on the morning of January 6th?
Yes.
CrossroadsIRL.com.
Are you at all concerned that the new January 6th committee will find you liable for that day? Are you at all concerned about the new January 6th committee finding you liable for that day? Why did you refuse the National Guard on January 6th?
Shut up. I did not refuse the National Guard. The president didn't send it. Why are you coming here with Republican talking points as if you're a serious journalist?
The American people want to know. We still have questions. Thank you.
All right. So her answer to the question was, shut up. You're repeating Republican talking points. She didn't answer the question. The answer would be, I did request the National Guard, or this is why we didn't request the National Guard. Is there any reason why they just won't tell you the truth? Okay, so they can't say that because they're trying to keep their narrative intact that Donald Trump started the insurrection and he didn't make the National Guard available. All right. So here's footage that came out a few years after. I think this came out sometime in 2023 or early 24. Okay. And this is her in a vehicle driving away from the Capitol. And here's what she says.
We did not have any accountability for what was going on there, and we should have. Why weren't the National Guard there to begin with? They clearly didn't know, and I take responsibility for not having them just prepare for more.
Okay, so she says she takes responsibility for not having them prepare for more. Here's an interview from 2023. Kash Patel, who's now the FBI director, details how President Trump offered the National Guard, and he says he was in the room. Take a listen.
26. 3-year-old clip now of Kash Patel on our program telling you the truth and the true facts of January 6th. Let's go. So can you please rewind the clock? And your time is valuable. I don't want you to have to repeat yourself, but can you please give us a play-by-play of what you offered? Because you were the one who was making the offer. You know, you were the man in the room, where it happens. What did Donald Trump offer on the morning of January 6th?
Yes, I was chief of staff at the Department of Defense at the time, and he actually offered it 2 days before January 6th. We were in the Oval Office, me, SecDef, chairman, and a couple other people, and we're talking about some sensitive operations unrelated to anything here. And President Trump said, hey, look, I've seen that there's a lot of people that are going to be in and around January 6th, not just in D.C., but around the country. What are we doing to offer security? And, of course, I'm paraphrasing, and I said, sir, well, we have the National Guard. He says, okay, well, I'm authorizing up to 10 to 20,000. And the reason he did that, because he preemptively had the foresight to know in case something happens, he doesn't want to have to be the one put in a position to say, I made a bad national security decision and didn't authorize it. The Constitution and the Supreme Court have a two-part test.
All right, so he offered National Guard. He authorized it, okay, and he says, I authorize the National Guard. And then it was now up to them to offer the National Guard assistance to Nancy Pelosi, who was then I think she was the head of the House, or the Speaker. She was the Speaker, I think, of the House.
President has to authorize National Guard. Step one. Step two, local governor or mayor, since it's D.C. in this instance, or head of law enforcement, Nancy Pelosi, has to request the National Guard after the authorization. It's posse comitatus, it's Supreme Court law, because our founding fathers don't want uniformed military personnel to occupy Washington, D.C. or anywhere else. Makes total sense. Well, after that, 2 days before January 6th, I sent my team to both Pelosi and Bowser in person. We can offer you up to 10, maybe 20,000 National Guard, but you guys know you have to tell us you want it. Mm-hmm. We can't mobilize, we can't equip, we can't man up until you sell me, go. Yeah. And they wrote, now the letter's out there. Mayor Bowser's letter is out there where she says, I declined.
Okay, letter's out there, okay? He declined. Mayor of DC declined. Okay, so it's out there. Democrats and mainstream media will have you believe that President Trump did not authorize or deploy the National Guard. It is ludicrous that people still believe these lies. Recently, I had someone talking to me, and because they were trying to win an argument, they brought up January 6th. And while I kept dismantling all of their arguments, they came up with, he didn't release the National Guard. And I was like, oh my goodness, like the degree of ignorance that people have about this because they listen to the wrong sources is sad. Of course, I brought that up. I broke that apart, and then they got upset. They got upset. They always do. All right. So we're hearing from Kash Patel. He was in the room, and this was the response coming from Mayor.
The Capitol Police timeline specifically states they went to Nancy Pelosi upon request of the Department of Defense for National Guard, and she said, nope. So that's why it didn't deploy. And I want to tell you the story about January 6th, which I really haven't told much.
Please.
The day of when the riot and everything was going on outside, of course, now Pelosi's calling us, me, SecDef, screaming, why isn't the National Guard here? And then we were like, wait a second, so are you authorizing it? Okay, authorized. Okay, where are they? As if I can just grow 10,000 Americans who are...
Which is what I did tell the person that I was discussing this matter with. I said, look, President Trump had offered the National Guard and he was turned down. When they found out that they needed the National Guard, they needed time to deploy. No, that's not true. That's not true. That they're a standing army, that they have camps. I said, look, these guys are volunteers. Some of them are regular civilians, but they signed up to serve under the National Guard. So they need to show up, get kitted out, and he wouldn't hear it. He wanted to prove to me that I was wrong. There are lots of people that are so woefully ignorant about how things work. It's sad. So I try to kind of provide information. Like there are days where I can raise my voice and get fiery, but I like to calmly break down these things so that people can understand, because I think the political conversations of our day have become too fiery and too performative. Like you watch podcasts and YouTubers, and everyone is high octane. It's almost like they're all caffeinated to the gills. And sometimes I ask myself, maybe I would have a larger channel if I was as caffeinated. But I honestly don't trust anyone who sounds like they're high on something, like they're speaking too fast, and it's almost like they're people who just talk fast. It's almost like they don't think through their arguments before they say them. And I just felt, okay, I wouldn't want to listen to someone like that for too long. I want to listen to someone who's actually having a conversation with me. And this is really how I talk regularly. This is how I talk. So it's important for us to hear the facts. So let's keep going.
Teachers, doctors, cops, lawyers, parents. I have to fly them in.
No. Yeah, let's hear that again. Sorry.
Who are teachers, doctors, cops.
I want to hear this. I want to hear this part.
Who are teachers, doctors, cops, lawyers, parents. I have to fly them in, kit them up, arm them, train them, equip them, then deploy them through law enforcement, because they're an accompaniment to law enforcement. They're not a military, to august security operations.
I'm going to call the National Guard in to remove that chandelier from Kash's shot. That also should be a National Guard deployment. Those are great days. Those are exciting days. We were proud to have been on the right side of history here. Those are very scary days, to tell the truth about January 6th.
All right. So you heard it. Nancy Pelosi was offered the National Guard. The mayor was offered the National Guard. They turned it down. The Democrat Party turned it down. And they somehow wanted to make it look like it was President Trump's fault that there was the kind of reaction on that day. All right, so I thought I had my poll up, but it's not up. So do you think, I'm going to ask this, do you think that the January 6th situation was staged? They were offered the National Guard, they turned it down. They knew that there was going to be a lot of people there protesting. And on top of that, we did start hearing that there were people planted in the crowds to kind of create chaos. So let me know in the chat and in the comment section, do you think that this was all staged?
Subscribe
Thanks for watching, liking, and sharing this video. Please subscribe, leave a super thank, and join my membership to keep me doing this. A huge thank you to my supporters listed on the screen. Thank you for your donations and membership.
Thanks for watching.